Welcome back everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to talk about a few stories that have been coming out this week regarding teams once again struggling for money in the wake of the global pandemic and their plans to deal with the situation. McLaren are one such team who are financially struggling. Having already let go a large number of staff in previous months, they are now open to selling a shareholding in their F1 team. This, once again, feels like a bit of a blow, like it did with Williams, that such a historic institution such as McLaren cannot keep their head above water in these trying times. As we know, they have struggled in recent years. Although last year's result of 4th place was a much needed boost, it ultimately still marks a fall from grace in which they're still trying to recover. It feels like a long time ago now, but McLaren used to be fighting for championships year in year out, and invested in the staff and resources to do so. Investments that they are still making now despite falling down the order. They still have a larger budget and more staff than the majority of the midfield teams, and until last year they even still had World Championship drivers in their racing seats. All of this, along with the reduced prize money, looks to have made McLaren weak. If we want to look at this news positively, however, it could be that McLaren are gearing up for the new regulations in 2022 and want to invest early and heavily. Perhaps seeing it as their way back to the front of the field perhaps. They could also be viewing the investment as a way of topping up their war chest ahead of the budget cap being introduced next year. The cap will be at $145 million. So perhaps McLaren is currently operating below that and wants to reach the cap. This is all speculation, of course, and we can't know the long-term effects of the pandemic on the sport, but one thing it will be certain. Any investor coming into McLaren will need to be in it for the long term. Another team which has been in the news this week regarding money troubles is Haas. Firstly, they got tongue wagging by admitting that they would not be making any upgrades to their 2020 car until they know more about the money situation this season. On the surface, it seems like a sensible decision. It's better to see out the whole season without upgrades rather than get through half of a season and run out of money, right? And that's not to mention that their upgrades in the past have not always been good developments. This does mean, however, we could see him slip down the field as other teams apply upgrades. Currently, it is unknown how many races there will be on the calendar. Therefore, teams don't really know what kind of commercial rights money they'll receive. So hopefully, once that gets resolved and we have a full calendar and the teams know what money they're going to get, Haas can find some money for upgrades. So it's not a done deal right now. This statement, along with one from team owner Gene Haas earlier in the year, stating that he was weighing up his options regarding staying in F1 beyond the 2020 season, has fueled recent rumours of a sale at Haas. However, this was quickly dismissed by team principal Gunther Steiner, who said, "I don't know where this has come from. I think it's now the 3rd time that Gene has sold the team, or partly sold the team. I think this is all speculation. I think somebody is putting rumours out there." He also went on to compliment Williams in the public manner in which they are conducting themselves when looking for investment, suggesting this would be the manner in which Haas themselves would do so as well if that time came. He also spoke on the subject of Haas staying in the sport beyond the end of the year, saying that Gene Haas was eager to stay in the sport and that Haas are living well within their means and are going to get through this difficult period in good shape. So very positive, Mr. Steiner. We like the sound of that. He went on to say that the budget cap will definitely help in this regard, saying that even if his team can't hit the cap itself, the difference between them and the top teams would more likely be 20 million rather than 150 million, which makes staying in the sport much more attractive. I think that's the first time I've heard a sentiment along that line as well, saying where a team said, we're probably not going to reach the cap, but even if we don't, we're still not a million miles away from the top teams like we could be right now. That's a very interesting point. I like that. Overall, I think we'll sadly continue to see stories like this for a while, as teams struggle with the lack of racing, but hopefully the teams that need it will get the investment they require in order to keep going. And once we get racing again, we get commercial income, we get sponsorship money, things return to a bit of normal. What do you guys think? Do you think this is bad news for McLaren? Or are you choosing to see it positively as a way for them to push on, hopefully get into that top 3? What do you think about Haas? The latest statement sounded positive. Do you see them staying in the sport? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next one.